Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, third time is a charm here for a Massacre. Massacre is a 14.5% bourbon barrel-aged imperial dark lager from Wolverine State Brewing Company in Ann Arbor, Michigan. If you've watched the channel for a while, you've noticed I've checked out Wolverine Brewing's barrel-aged dark lager they call Massacre a few times in the past, but I feel like it's a good time to revisit it here for this whole Cellar Dive series, where I go through my cellar to see if old beer can still be good, or if it's just meh. I put the call out on my Patreon to see what beers they'd like to see me revisit, and executive producer Cam Freeman suggested this one. I honestly don't try too many lagers on the channel outside of Christmas, but I can honestly say that Wolverine has never done me wrong, but I feel like Massacre is one of those limited releases that always seems to be out there somewhere. What I mean by that is when I go to a bottle shop, I can almost always find the previous year's versions out on the shelves. It's usually just the last year, but sometimes I've seen like 2 years on shelves in the past. So if you want to try this beer out, but maybe not this particular year of 2017, you might be in luck and you might be able to find one, especially 2021. Let's see how this 5-plus-year-old beer holds up. We're going to take a look at the label via the can cam, and this can cam is brought to you by Gatorade. Is it in you? Is it in you? All right, let's take a look at the label here. As you can see, we have the Wolverine State Brewing Company across the top. It has the Wolverine State Brewing Company logo, and it says Massacre with this kind of, I don't know, is it like a, I guess it's like a door or something that has the Wolverine State Brewing Company logo scratched into it. In 2020, I believe they updated this whole label, but it's very similar still. On the side here on the back, it says, as the brewers sat down to map out Massacre for 2017, the table was silent. Everyone had their noses buried in a snifter of sweet bourbon, molasses, chocolate, and luscious barrel aromas from past vintages of this boundary-breaking brew. Our only goal to make 2017 Massacre the best vintage yet, and now beneath this wax seal, you'll find reason to rejoice. Big, bold, and beautiful 2017 Massacre has arrived. Underneath that, it has a signature of Oliver Roberts, the brewmaster, and it says proudly brewed in Ann Arbor, Michigan. You can find out more about them at wolverinebeer.com. So now the fun part. I get to figure out how to get this seal off of here in a timely manner. So give me a few seconds here. I'm going to take the handy dandy bottle opener I got here. All right, here we are. I feel like every time I open a bottle with wax on it, I'm like, why am I doing this? I feel like I'm millimeters away from going to the emergency room. This has a yellow, I could smell, it has a Wolverine, I don't know if you can see that, probably not very good, but it has a Wolverine kind of logo on the bottle cap. I feel like I'm always millimeters from going to the emergency room because I feel like I'm going to slice my finger open or something, but let's put a nose on it, getting ahead of myself. Huge, huge bourbon notes out of this bottle. It's got a really nice sweet, again, like they said on the bottle, it has a really nice molasses aroma to it. Thick molasses, lots of sweet bourbon. I'm not really getting chocolate, but let's go ahead and pour it. And as you can see there, we're going to just go ahead and get it, whoa, getting splashy. Just turn the bottle up totally. I got about a half a finger, generously a half a finger of head on that. Let's hold it up and put a nose on it. Wow. Super strong. So strong I got it under my nose. Lots of bourbon, lots of molasses. Let's hold it up to the light here. I mean, that is just so dark. Looks dark to you, looks dark to me. I can barely see anything through this. The only part I can see through is this bottom of the glass here. That's really dark. Smells really, I mean, you can really smell this is going to be very bourbon forward. Let's see if I even get any kind of lager flavor out of this at all. So cheers, let's check it out. Wow. Mouthfeel. My taste buds are just overwhelmed with all these different flavors. Mouthfeel, very thick, not thin, like in the slightest. It's like almost thicker than syrupy, but it really clings to your tongue. It really clings to your entire palate as it goes down. Just got a really great mouthfeel. I mean, it's very thick. Not maybe not syrupy, not maybe thicker than syrup. That's maybe exaggerating it a little, but it has a delicious flavor to it. Let's go ahead and talk about the flavor because that's going to be a hard one to kind of break down all these flavors. Very sweet. A lot of sweet flavors coming through, a lot of bourbon, like I said, a lot of that molasses flavor. Really kind of strong. There's it's almost like this has turned into almost like a really sweet bourbon barrel-aged stout. Like, I'm not picking up, because of the molasses, because of the bourbon, because there's this little alcohol bite, this kind of alcohol and bourbon bite on the finish, it almost kind of overruns every other flavor in front of it. So you have to get the flavor, you have to harness it at the beginning because it's very sweet. It comes through as being very sweet just throughout the entire taste, but then at the end on the finish, it has that really strong like alcohol bite that just bites the back of your tongue, holds on, and the aftertaste kind of gives you a little bit of this chocolatey, smoky, it's like a chocolatey, smoky kind of flavor in there as well. Yeah, very sweet up front, really almost overpoweringly sweet at the very start. And then, like I said, you get that, because that bourbon comes through, it just whacks your tongue, right? It slaps your tongue, and then you're just getting all this really strong alcohol flavoring, and then this little subtle chocolatey, milk chocolatey kind of flavor comes up, and that alcohol bite really grabs your tongue. It's like a snake biting your tongue. It's just like this real strong, just alcohol bite to the end of it, but it's not overly boozy. This alcohol bitterness that comes through lets you know that this is high ABV. Like I said, this is 14.5%. It tastes smoother than 14.5%. It tastes boozy, but it's not overpoweringly boozy. It's got a really nice balance, but the only complaint that I have against this is that this is a dark imperial lager. You would never drink this at this point, almost 6 years, right? 5+ years later. I think it comes out in October. So you would never drink this and mistake it for a lager because it has all the kind of telltale flavors of more of a stout, like a bourbon barrel-aged stout, because that's just what everything is nowadays. It seems like if it's barrel-aged, it's almost always a stout. But it has really, I think the bourbon has just overtaken any other kind of flavor in here, so you're not really going to be able to appreciate the lagery part of it. It's not thin. It doesn't have the thin mouthfeel like you would think because it's a barrel-aged lager. Even barrel-aged, sometimes that can thin it out. But this is through and through a very delicious beer, but don't go into this. If you still have 2017 on the shelf, or probably I would say 19 through 17 are probably going to be very similar at this point. Don't go into it expecting you're going to get any lager flavor. Expect that this is going to be like a barrel-aged stout experience, because that's what you're going to get out of it. There is really no lagering flavor left. All right, friends, that's been Wolverine State Brewing Company's Massacre barrel-aged dark lager way back from the year 2017. Do you still have this? Do you see this beer on the shelves, like I said, way past the release time, which, again, I believe is right around October of every year? Let me know in the comments down below while you're down there. If you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell. I'm here talking about beer twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, all for free for viewers just like you. And you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries. These guys are in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And until next time, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. We'll see you next time for the next installment of the Cellar Dive. Cheers.